Friday. We are in New York City for Super Bowl week, 48 hours away before Super Bowl 48 will be played out in MetLife Stadium. Our crowd is absolutely amazing. They do not disappoint. They are representing. And I'm sure my co-host can't hear me, but this is Skip Bayless, ladies and gentlemen. And this is Stephen A. Smith.
By the way, if anybody, yes. I know people don't usually see me affectionate, but I was blowing a kiss to my lovely little niece over there.
Hi, niece. A shout out to the niece.
They're blocking her. They're blocking her right there.
Hi, niece. How are you? Well, I'm Carrie Champion, your host and moderator, and I want to say thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Allow me to say that every afternoon here at Celsius, they have had to fix this roof because you people have blown it off every day. Thank you.
Okay, so listen, obviously we're here to talk about Super Bowl 48. We need to know who you're going to pick. The wait is over. We've been waiting all week long to see what Skip Bayless would say, what Stephen A. would say. But I actually want to ask the crowd, who here is for the Seahawks? Okay. Where are my Broncos fans? All right. We want to hear from you at home. We need you to go to hashtag Who's Gonna Win. Hashtag Who's Gonna Win. And ESPN will reveal the results throughout the day. Meanwhile, let's get right to it. It is Super Bowl 48, 6:25 Eastern Standard Time on Sunday in MetLife Stadium. We want to know, will it be Seattle Seahawks or will it be the Denver Broncos? Who will win Super Bowl 48? Stephen A. Smith, the wait is over. The question is yours.
It's a tight one because obviously you got to take a lot of things into consideration, particularly the weather conditions, because if the weather conditions are not ideal, then you anticipate that Peyton Manning won't be big time. That's how you look at it. You look at this young Seattle Seahawks defense, how tenacious they are, how they get in your face. You look at the fact that you got a running game, a beast in beast mode. We're talking about Marshawn Lynch, the combination of the two things with inclement weather. It would seem to me that would spell doom for the Denver Broncos. However, I don't feel that way. I don't believe it will be a blizzard. I don't believe it will be raining. I don't believe it will be bristling winds at 30, 40 miles per hour or something along those lines. I think for the most part, the weather conditions will be ideal, similar to what they're accustomed to seeing in the Mile High City. That makes the playing field even. And as a result, you take into account Peyton Manning's greatness, the 5,477 yards passing, the 55 touchdowns and just 10 interceptions, the targets that he has in Julius Thomas, the Marius Thomas, Eric Decker, Wes Welker, no Sean Moreno being the 12th ranked rusher in the NFL. Everybody keeps forgetting that, but this man can run the football as well. I think ultimately what it comes down to for me is two questions. Can the Seahawks hold the Denver Broncos to less than 21 points? Or can Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch and Golden Tate and those boys score more than 21 points? Obviously, everything goes out the window. If Percy Harvin comes out, he's not concussed, and he hurts you in special teams. But that's an aberration, and that's not something you depend on for your picks with the Super Bowl. You go on both ends of the ball, on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And I just believe that not enough noise has been made about the Denver Broncos defense. I think their offense is big time. I don't see them being held to 21 points. I'm going with the Denver Broncos to win the Super Bowl. 30. I'm going with Denver to win. 30-20.
All right.
Wow. You got to score 30 points? Whew. Well, you almost changed my mind. I must admit, before I make my pick, I have not been this intrigued about a Super Bowl matchup for a long, long time. And I go all the way back to covering Super Bowls to Super Bowl 10, which was my Cowboys against your Pittsburgh Steelers when you were a kid.
Yeah. It's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. And all that said, I went back and forth, listened to our guests all week. I went this way, I went that way. I agree this is a close call. And last night, about midnight, I finally said, you know what? I'm going to let Mother Nature, a higher power, make this pick for me. And this morning, she picked Peyton Manning.
Wow. Wow.
I am going Denver. Go ahead and put it up. Put it up. Thank you, Kasim. I appreciate that. Broncos. Well, I got a half-hearted Broncos here. Here's the point. Stephen A. Smith. 2 weeks ago, we heard doomsaying forecasts of wind chill in the teens and snow and freezing rain. And this morning's forecast for Sunday evening is high in the mid-40s. At kickoff, it's going to be, 45 degrees with no precipitation, very light wind. This is Peyton Manning weather. This is. I'm sorry, I have to say it, and I want to be clear about this. This is tough for me. I have never been the biggest Peyton Manning fan.
This is true.
I don't love watching Peyton Manning play football because he has no cannon, he has no mobility, he has no flair to his game. He frankly annoys me when I'm watching him play because he's created a game above the game of football. He beats you with his head in 3 seconds or less. Now, I admire that. I just don't love watching it. But my point is, can Seattle make Peyton play football? By roughing him up, knocking him down, maybe blooding his lip. I don't think so. I don't think they can get to him. Stephen A., do you realize Peyton Manning this year dropped back 755 times to throw? He was sacked 2.4% of those dropbacks. He has been touched once in each playoff game. I'm sorry. I don't care what Seattle throws at him. Kitchen sink. I don't think they can touch Peyton Manning. If they don't, you know and I know what's about to happen here. And the words I took to heart on this show this week came from Antonio Cromartie, who was sitting right there.
Wow.
This man, he's had his issues off the field, but on the field he has a high football IQ. What did he say right off the bat? I expected him to pick the team with the great defensive backfield. He said no. Denver all the way because Seattle doesn't have enough DBs to match up with all the Denver weapons. Especially, he said, do you see Cam Chancellor coming down in the slot and covering Wes Welker? I don't. I'm sorry. If Cam tries, Cam's going to have a long afternoon.
I know this much. If Cam Chancellor gets a hit on Wes Welker, he won't have to worry about covering them the rest of the game.
I agree with you. It's a great point. But do you think that's going to happen?
Well, listen. I mean, the way Wes Welker's look sometimes, I'm a fan of Wes Welker and what have you. Certainly more than you, Mr. Danny Amendola.
Okay,
but the bottom line is, if Cam Chancellor puts a hat on Wes Welker, he's going to knock him into tomorrow.
Okay, but I think he's going to knock him only into Sunday night because I think Wes Welker's going to have a big game in this game. And I also think that Richard Sherman can take Demaryius away from Peyton. But all of a sudden, as you keep pointing out all week, there's Decker, and there's Julius, and there's Marino coming out of the backfield. It's too many weapons for Seattle to match up with. And finally, you hit on one point, and I'm going to stress it. The unit nobody has talked about all week is the Denver Broncos defense. Because I don't know what happened. It came to life in the last month. It held the two playoff opponents to 16 and 17 points, and it took, I thought LeGarrette Blount would have a beast mode game. He had 6 yards on 5 carries. Are you kidding me? So I do not think Marshawn Lynch can beast this defense.
Well, I don't think he was the same since he got hit by Trevathan. I mean, that had a lot to do with it. So Blount's still recovering from that, even though he's a big boy, and you got to respect him. But in the end, what it comes down to is this. When you have this level of potency on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, do you realize how surreal you have to be as a defense? To me, the key is getting to Peyton Manning. You soften him up, everything crumbles from there, and knock the head off, the body will follow. It's sort of what happened to Tom Brady when he went up against the Giants a few years ago. But I don't see Seattle getting to Peyton that often. And unless they hurt Peyton Manning somehow and soften him up a little bit, I don't see how they're going to hold Denver to less than 30 points. I see Denver putting up 30, not 40, not 50, but I do see them putting up 30 points, and I don't see Seattle's offense scoring more than 20. That's why I'm going with 30 to 20.
Okay, I disagree with you about 30 points. I cannot see Peyton putting up more than 20 against this defense, but that will be enough because I don't see Russell Wilson and company putting up more than 14 on Denver's defense. So I'm going 20 to 14.
Well,
and let me clinch my case here. Seattle obviously has not been Seattle away from Seattle. This is not in Seattle. There's no 12th man this time.
Okay.
Their point differential at home has been more than double what it was on the road. So put all that together, 20 to 14, Peyton.
Remember this. If Seattle can only generate 14 points on offense, chances are they won't be moving the ball that much. And if they're not doing that, that's more offensive opportunities for Peyton Manning. And remember, he figures you out. I didn't say he's going to score 30 quick. I said he'll end up with 30.
Ladies and gentlemen, they're representing First Take at Bryant Park. Cam Newton is clearly here. Give it up for Cam, everybody. Give it up for Cam. Wow. Okay, so they might be excited to see you. I'm not for sure.
They turned to here, man. I ain't gonna lie. They turned to here.
Yeah. We appreciate that. Crowd, thank you so much for welcoming Cam Newton. Obviously, you are here, and we have to talk about a couple of things. But before we went to break, you actually picked Denver to win the Super Bowl. Right. We need to know why.
Why not Denver? You know, it's Peyton has been doing it all year. He surprised a couple people early. But, you know, even I was rushing home to see what monstrous stats that Peyton Manning was going to put up. And, you know, with me being a fan of the game, people don't realize that we're people too. You know, we may not have no fantasy team or anything like that, but we're concerned of what's happening on in the league outside of, you know, the coaching clips that we get with preparation each and every week. But the things that Peyton Manning did this week, this year, it was ridiculous. I mean, not taking anything against the Legion of Doom or anything with me facing them firsthand with the first week, but though Peyton Manning is top-notch guy.
Now I want to get to you because obviously, you know, y'all were 12-4 this year.
Right.
I mean, you got to the playoffs. You had a breakout year, and what I was most proud about, and I know Kerry was going to touch on this with you, but what I was most proud about is that I came into the year saying you have to do it this year because we kept hearing about Luck, we kept hearing about Kaepernick and RG3, and then Russell Wilson, and Cam wasn't on the radar really. He sort of seemed to be fading. So it was great to see you do what you did this year. What was your attitude like coming into this season, knowing all the hype everybody else was getting and yours was dissipating a little?
Extremely hungry. I'd be lying to you to sit here and say that I wasn't affected by what was said, what was done. And believe you me, you know, I oftentimes get criticized about my attitude. You know, I was taking it hard as anyone. You know, with the 6-10, then following it with 7-9. No one likes to be labeled the loser. You know, so I kind of had that MO about myself. So this off season, you know, it was a different approach. You know, maybe I need to change, you know, the way I think, the way I prepare, and having a great defense and with Luke Kuechly on the other side didn't hurt either.
Well, how were you able to do that? Because a lot of people talk about changing their mode of thinking, but you sort of are who you are mentally sometimes. Tell us how somebody changes their thinking for the better.
Now, when I say change, I don't mean a whole, like, mix-up of changing what I've been doing. Nothing really changed as my approach to the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's put a microscope to my game and fine-tune the things that I want to make better. You know, it was nothing that I really said, oh, I'm going to change this about myself, I'm going to change that. It was more, let me get more detail in my line of work.
I got a crazy thought here.
Okay.
Listening to you two talk. I look back on you being the first pick in the draft as a raw rookie, making a splash in this league the way no young man has ever made a splash. You remember at Arizona and Green Bay at home. And to me, You set your own bar unfairly high, absurdly high in those 2 games. And then you started having a harder and harder time living up to it because it was unrealistic what you did in those first 2 games. Give us some perspective as you look back at those first 2. How do you feel about them now?
When I look back at it, only person I feel can put up 400 yards at ease is Peyton. I mean, when I did it, you don't really keep track of how many yards you throw in a given game. You don't even have time, as a quarterback. You don't have time when you come to the sideline and look up and gauge your numbers. So for me, when I go to the sideline, I look for in-game adjustments, trying to find out what the defense is doing. So when that happened the first 2 games, I was like, okay, well, the NFL may not be as hard as all I got to do. Only thing I got to worry about now is exactly.
Yeah.
The only thing I got to worry about now is just getting the wins. Yeah. But as I learned and grew in this league, preparation is something that is often overlooked but admired as well, because no one sees the work in progress. They only see the finished product. Right now, who knows what Russell Wilson's doing?
Right.
Who knows what Peyton's doing to have an edge in this game? And as I was growing in this league, I had to keep elevating my level of preparation.
All right, well, let's stay there because Stephen A. did touch on this. He made the case all year long that this year had to be your year in order to define who you would be in the league. How much did your preparation change this season? Because it was a breakout season.
Right. I think Coach Shula and Ken Dorsey had a lot to play with my preparation. And, not taking anything against Coach Szczynski because I love him to heart. But when Coach Shula was named offensive coordinator, he took it upon himself to say, hey, this is who you are. If you want to take your game to the next level, there's some things that you have to elevate yourself. And number one is being a trusted teammate. Yeah. Not saying that you aren't, but, can those guys, when you look in that huddle, is it question marks? Is it periods? Or like the Tom Brady's, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning of this league, it's an exclamation point of thoughts. Like, this guy's our guy, and we got to get the job done.
One of the things I looked at, and I noticed this as we're having this conversation here, I'm going back to how I was thinking. You come into this league and I thought you were the guy that had that Magic Johnson smile, I mean, you look good, you play well, and on top of it all, you got the smile and you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
And then you come and you ball those first 2 games, like Skip pointed out. In the NFL, you listen and talking to the cats that I talk to in the league, it's one thing to want to win, and it's another thing to want to get at somebody because you think the hype and the shine that they're receiving is a bit too much. Did you get the sense while you were on the field after those first 2 games? It's not just that they were trying to beat the Carolina Panthers, but cats were trying to humble you. Did you get that sense at all while you were on the field?
Oh, it's an old cliche, and it's even in the Bible. Well, much is given, much is required. And I live by that each and every day. Not only on the field, but off the field as well. As an athlete, it's some things that you're held to be, whether it's some of it's fair, some of it's not. It's some things that you can do and some things you can't do, as public figures. So it's always oftentimes where even to this day I sit back and I'm like, man, why do people critique? Why does Stephen A. and why does doggone Skip get on me so much, man?
Why y'all do that?
They,
why y'all do that?
You know what I'm saying?
It's so not right.
But really though, it's all in the game. I understand. I respect that. At the end of the day, this is who we are.
Right.
When I signed my name on the Carolina Panthers contract, it was some footnotes that may not have said it then, but I'm seeing it now. Like, you're held to a standard.
Right.
God put everyone on the pinnacle to lead by example, and I'm trying to do that each and every day.
Only point I want to make before Skip asks this question is this: in defense of this show, I challenge anybody in America to find one show on television where an athlete gets an opportunity to come on there and talk for as long as he wants. We talk when it's us, but you here, the floor is yours.
Make your case.
And don't let me take anything against from you guys. Right. This is hands down one of the best shows on television. Like, don't get me wrong. where can you go when you got, arguably one of the two most controversial people in all of television? Good or bad? You know what I'm saying? People may say what they want to say about you, Skip. I love you to death, man. Because when we work out, we think about things like that. You make or break us. And right now in New York, out of all the TV shows, who has a crowd like this? This is crazy. It's mayhem.
We appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
And speaking of we, I'm going to go a little deeper here. Last night, Stephen A. Smith, Kerry Champion, and I attended the Fritz Pollard Alliance event here in New York.
Right.
This is the organization behind the Rooney Rule and its progress in the National Football League. It was a great night and a great event.
Commissioner Goodell showed up, former Commissioner Paul Tagliabue was there, etc.
And I thought about you as I went to bed last night thinking questions. We talk a lot about this show, and we have for years, about the progress the black quarterback has made in the National Football League. You being at the forefront of that as a first pick in the draft. Step back for a moment. Give us your perspective on that progress that you have seen or their lack thereof.
It's a stigma. I'll be sitting up here in line if I didn't feel that type of way. But, it's some things that we're held to do. And from the jump, at times, it may feel like we're at an uphill battle. Is it fair? No. But it's some things that we do that, people may not understand or will never understand. Why do we come to press conferences with jeans or T-shirts? And that's our culture. You can't fault no one for feeling the way they are, because that's our environment when we grow up. The way we talk, our slang, the way we communicate or interact with each other, that's who we are. Born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, it's some things that I may do, Skip. You are like, what? Like, what's
Maybe.
that? But it's some things that you do, and I'll be scratching my head too.
I agree.
So what?
A lot of things, actually.
What makes us who we are is who we are. But when I look around this league, man, I'm excited because I see growth. 3 to 5 years ago, you couldn't really name a dominant black quarterback that was holding us down. Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick. Now you look around, you got Colin Kaepernick, you got myself, you got RG3, you got Russell Wilson. People of color is a dominant force in this league, and I don't want to ever get in a pissing match with saying, well, it's us versus them, because we represent the NFL on and off the field.
Right.
So when I'm talking about ethnicity, no, it's none of that in this league. Because at the end of the day, we are who we are, and the biggest stat in all of sports is winning and losing. So whether I'm black, white, green, blue, or doggone gray, it doesn't matter. If I'm not winning, I'm not getting the job done.
Give it up.
I don't have a question to that, but I do have a statement because I feel an obligation to follow up on that. Cam, the part where I would challenge you on is that you are a shining example of what a lot of guys should be, and here's why. It's about the way you carry yourself. It's from your appearance to the way you articulate yourself to the way you go about handling your business. And as a quarterback in your position, you yourself has said, you talked and alluded to the responsibility. When we talk about a responsibility, and the reason why I sit up there, and I tell this to everybody, and I said it to people last night, there is no athlete that I look at that I ever root against. I want everybody to succeed.
Right.
But in the process, you got to highlight what could contribute to failure. Because when you sit up there and you carry yourself the way that you carry yourself, what happens is you send a message to other folks that this is how you got to go about doing things. I understand we have our own culture, but at the same time, we got to be cognizant of what works and what doesn't work. If cats walk around with dreads, got gold teeth in their mouth, got tattoos on their face or whatever, and you're going to look for a 9-to-5 job, don't be surprised if you don't get one. And so you got to be mindful of that. You see what I'm saying? And what I'm saying to you is, you, like me, like others, have an appreciation for our own culture and what we do, but at the same time, you are obviously cognizant of what works because what you do works.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Thank
Ladies
you so
and
much.
gentlemen, Cam Newton from a freshman and a rookie season, and look how you are now. Just totally, the maturation process is amazing.
Really?
It is amazing. I'm looking at you,
Actually,
and I am proud.
I must admit,
I am
I
proud.
saw him as a rookie. You was suited and booted a little bit better, but it's okay.
But that's not even
It's
the point.
okay. It's okay.
You
You get out of sweater now. You look good, but
You look good.
you remember the suit you had on.
You look
Yes.
sassy.
I'm just saying.
I like it. Meanwhile, you
just
killed it, and you made it hard for anybody else who has to
Just
sit here now. Because did he not kill this interview, ladies and gentlemen?
I'm just saying. You remember the suit you had on.
I did.
I'm just saying.
I did.
I'm just saying.
I did.
Give it up to Cam Newton, an athlete who hears what he wants to hear. Thank you for being here. Sponsored by Beats. New York City, ladies and gentlemen. Super Bowl 48 on Sunday, but today is Friday. The last football Friday of this season, technically. Those headphones that you just saw, they're giving them away to both players on both teams. Those headphones are worth $25,000 a piece. That's over $2 million in Beats by Trey headphones. That's amazing. Did you see that?
Yeah, those look awesome.
Do you have a pair?
I do.
Of the $25,000 headphones?
Not those, not that pair, but I use the Beat by Dre's all the time.
Okay, well, we welcome in someone who doesn't eat what he wants to eat, but he hears what he wants to hear. That is CC Sabathia. He's so skinny. He's my size now. We're the exact same size. No, man, you might have a pound on me, a pound or two on me. All right,
I'm concerned.
No,
Are you?
why?
I'm
I
concerned.
brought you something.
Why are you concerned?
It's back. I'm back. You said you wanted Big Luther back. I'm back.
You said no, Stephen A. You're not supposed to have
I've been
those.
warding off. I haven't eaten Crunch Berries in 8 months.
He's not supposed to
It's
have
my favorite
those.
cereal of all time. I can't splurge for 1 week in the Super Bowl weekend. I can't.
No.
No?
Look. Let me explain.
Explain.
CC's my man. I love him to death. We talk all the time. You might need to eat some more of these, man. Look. All I know is you stopped eating these, you lost a little weight, and you struggled a little bit.
Struggle a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, you might need to put on some more pounds.
I don't know if it's about pounds or just getting stronger.
Okay.
You know, I lost a little bit of weight, and I think I lost a little bit of power.
Look, man, Popeye had spinach. You got Crunch Berries.
Exactly.
Ain't nothing
I like
wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with it, Skip. I know you're a health nut, but this is the man here. You were very disrespectful, and you be respectful today to my man CC Sabathia. We will be back. We will be back.
You got to be respectful. You got to be respectful.
Would you want?
I do not believe you have gone 8 months without eating Crunch Berries. I'm sorry.
I got my niece.
I don't buy
my
it.
My niece is proof. I'm telling you.
I don't believe
I swear
it.
to you. You saw I lost the pounds here. Come on, Skip. Come on, Ned.
You've
right.
lost a
You lose a
couple.
couple pounds, but not me. Like, what's up with that?
Well, I'm not the million. You know, I ain't gonna put your money out there. But I'm not the multi-million-dollar man that needs to sit there and win 20 games for the Yankees.
All right, before we get to the Yankees, let's talk about your Super Bowl pick. All right, Seattle Seahawks. Make your case, my friend, and I'll put these Crunch Berries away.
I think it's a good team. I mean, I think that I like the defense over the offense. I mean, I just think the best defense is going to win. West Coast guy, Marshawn Lynch is from Oakland. I'm a Raider fan. I can't root for the Broncos. That's
Why?
against the code of being a Raider fan.
Okay.
So I have to pick the Seahawks.
It's not just that. He's not telling the whole story.
Okay.
See, he gets together with the whole crew, Juan and them, and whatever I say, they go in the opposite direction. They do this to me all the time.
We have to, man.
Yes.
We have to.
Go ahead, Skip.
Let's
Make it
talk
happen.
about his Yankees.
Okay.
And I'll be the first to admit, I have fun on this show. I like to push his buttons. I have occasionally referred to you as CC, as in can't count on Sabathia.
Yeah.
I must admit, last year you made me look pretty good, but as I was riding down Broadway, the greatest street in America this morning, to come to Celsius, I look up at a sporting goods store here in, what are we, almost to February, and I see nothing in the windows but plastered number 19 Yankees tops with Tanaka on the back. Tanaka on the back. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. CeCe is still the man here on this pitching staff, right? So I ask you, put this in perspective for me.
Very good to be respectful. Very good.
How upset would you be if Tanaka were the opening day starter for your New York Yankees?
I wouldn't be upset. You know, I mean, it's my teammate, like he said, but I'm excited to have a guy on our squad. You know, I'm always excited to be a part of a great pitching staff, and I think he's going to add to it. Whoever starts the opening day, you know, that's fine with me, but I know I'm back and I'm ready and I'll be healthy.
But is he being overhyped, in your opinion?
He went 24-0 with an under 2 ERA. I mean, that guy, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. So I'm excited to be.
He did.
Yeah, I'm excited to be a part of you know, be a part of the staff. I mean, I'll be leading the staff, obviously. I mean,
Okay.
But I'm happy to have him on the squad.
Here's my thing. Last year was a very tough year for me.
Me too.
Because you were struggling a little bit. My man Derek Jeter was not healthy. Okay, Mark Teixeira. We always talk about the Jeters of the A-Rods. Mark Teixeira need to get healthy, by the way. I'm tired of seeing him on the sideline. He's making $180 million. Come on now. Get it together, Mark Teixeira. I like you. Get it together. But in the end, it's about pitching. So if you got Tanaka, you've got yourself. You got Ivan Nova, all right? You got Kuroda. Where do you view the Yankees going? Because it's only the second time since 1994 that you have missed a postseason, and the Red Sox are the champions. I'm appalled by this. I'm appalled. What's up?
I honestly think we're only going to be as good as our pitching staff. You know, I think if I was better last year, I think we had a chance to make the playoffs.
So you're going to be better this year?
I do, and I hold myself more accountable than anybody can on the show or anywhere. You know, so I'm my hardest critic, and I know I held the team back last year, and if I pitch well, and I think we'll be fine.
Obviously, your team dropped out of the bidding ultimately for Robinson Cano, a guy you loved. But that money, you could argue, was well spent on multiple additions in place of one man.
I disagree. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I want to see what he thinks, because I don't really care what you think. I only care about what he thinks.
Obviously, anytime you lose a guy like Robbie, he's the best second baseman in the game. I mean, one of the best hitters in the game. So we're obviously going to miss him. But the additions that we made, you know, getting the catcher in McCann, you know, getting Beltran, you know, I think
that Ellsbury guy. What's his name?
Ellsbury is going to be great. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be. I'm excited about the possibilities of our team and being healthy and having G for a year, having Tex for a year.
So you would take them over Cano?
I don't know. I mean, hey.
Well, the man drinks Haterade for a living, so we understand. But here's the deal.
Wait, I only drink Diet Mountain Dew.
Here's the deal.
Here's the deal. That's it.
Do you believe that the New York Yankees made the right move? You think about this. You could have overpaid, instead of putting $175 million offer on the table for Cano, you could have overpaid him by $25 million instead of overpaying Jacoby Ellsbury, a Boston Red Sox. Okay? You believe that Robinson Cano, should the Yankees have given him about $200 million?
I'm not in that. I'm not in that. You know, I'm not in the front office. I'm definitely going to miss Robbie Cano. Right. I mean, in the clubhouse, on and off the field, he's going to be missed.
All right, well, let's talk about something you can help us with. Okay. Well, how did you lose all the weight? How much did you lose, and what are we doing to get back to just power?
I lost about 30 pounds
last
year, and just wanted to be healthy. And this year it's just all about strength training, you know, and getting stronger. And I felt like I'm back to where I was in 2012.
And by the way, let me say, as opposed to my friend Stephen A., I admire what you have done with your body to get it to look. You look great. And
thank you.
You will benefit for the long haul as opposed to maybe the short haul. But I am expecting you to have a big bounce back year, even at minus 30 pounds next year. So give us a goal. Is it realistic to think that CC Sabathia at age 33 could win 20 games next year?
Of course, yeah. Why not? I don't put like number goals on wins. I think if I stay healthy and I pitch healthy, I mean, I think the numbers will be there.
How much are you keeping in touch with Derek Jeter?
Oh, God.
Keep in touch with him a lot.
How is he feeling?
Feeling great.
Is he going to be healthy?
Yes.
Is he going to be ready?
Has he never not been right when he's healthy?
Well, that's
when
not
he's healthy.
When he's healthy,
he's right.
Right.
All the time.
What about Teixeira?
Texas is going to be good, too.
Texas is going to be good?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
You're a little too worried, I think, about it.
I'm a little bit worried.
He's concerned.
I
love it. But
I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned. I got to listen to this New York Yankee hater sitting up here smiling in front of your face like he's your best friend when he was talking about you. Can't count on Sabathia.
Hey,
this is what he's doing. That's what he said.
It's all good because I hold myself more accountable than anybody can. So it's, you know.
And that's all that matters.
I hope
CC
y'all is nice
Sabathia,
to
ladies
me.
and gentlemen, please give it up. Such a sweetheart. You're such a sweetheart. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, Bryant Park, Celsius Restaurant. We have a very special crowd here today. They wanted to see us off right for our week of Super Bowl shows. It's the last football Friday of the season, and it's time for Carrie's Court. That's an opportunity for our members of the audience to ask Skip and Stephen A questions. I love you, too. We got Poncho from Tracy, California, and he's our first one. What's your question or your message, so to speak?
Well, this is for you, Carrie.
Okay.
Because you're the mostest, hostess,
Okay.
whatever.
I'm the hostess with the mostest. Okay, I'll hold it. And what do you have
I got
to say?
this one right here for Stephen A. No disrespect.
Okay, I'll hold this for him.
And I got some in the back for my boy Kevin Hart.
Uh-huh.
Can't ball.
Can't ball. Okay, and?
And my boy Okie Doke, Skip Bayless. Recognize. You got to recognize.
All right. And Mayweather.
And Durant.
That's a message for you. He's a true fan of the show. What is your question and who is it for?
Stephen A. If you were to have a role on General Hospital, what would you play? Oh, and by the way, can I be your sidekick too?
Uh-huh.
Well, it would depend.
Uh-huh.
If they had a sister on there, you know, and I wasn't spoken for, I would do the love interest thing. But I see Holly Robinson Pete back there.
I mean, looking good.
If she was on the show, I definitely want to be on the show. But without that, I would say I want to be Sonny's henchman, Sonny Corinthos, the mobster. I would want to be his henchman.
Whoa. Hold on.
Okay.
If I have to hear about Stephen A. Smith in General Hospital one more time, I am going to go into General Hospital.
Wait. Hold on. Wait a second.
He really should stop hating.
Yeah,
he really
Stephen
should stop
A. is
hating.
an actor, Skip. You don't want him to act.
General
That's not
Hospital
fair.
is the joint.
General Hospital is the
38
joint.
years and counting. And I'm proud of it.
We got Christian here from College Park, Maryland. Christian has a question for you, Stephen A.
All right. Good morning, Stephen A. My question is regarding Kyrie Irving. With the rumors abounding that Kyrie wants out of Cleveland, and given that next year is his last year of his rookie contract, what should Cleveland do with Kyrie Irving?
They better re-sign him. They can't afford to lose that boy. Kyrie Irving can ball. He can play.
Yep.
But let's be clear. Be clear. Zip it. I'm talking. Here's the deal. The bottom line is this. Kyrie Irving can play. The news about him wanting to leave, what player wants to stay in a losing situation? The Cleveland Cavaliers need to get their act together. They just had a #1 overall pick and spent it on a guy I'm sure he might improve, but right now he's a flat-out scrub that's putting Kwame Brown to shame. All right? So the bottom line is this. If you are a baller like Kyrie Irving, why do you want to stay up in there? If you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, get your act together and make sure you utilize top-notch picks so a guy like Kyrie Irving can want to stay. It is not his fault that he's not happy. Why should he be happy with losing when he can ball like he can ball?
Okay, well, if you're Kyrie, then you're saying you'd leave?
I'm saying if I'm Kyrie Irving right now, locked into his contract, he has every right to say he's not happy. And that y'all either do something about this, or I do want to leave, because why should he want to stay in a losing situation when he can ball like he can ball?
So, for once, I'm on the side of the Cleveland owner, Dan Gilbert, who says, I will never, ever make the LeBron mistake again, which was he waited to the 11th hour. Will you, won't you, will you, won't you? And he lost LeBron for what? Nothing.
That's right.
So he's saying, Kyrie, either sign long-term right now in the next month or two, or I'm done with you. I'm going to go a new direction.
And I'm telling you, if I'm Kyrie Irving and Dan Gilbert said that to me, trade me, I'm going to lose sleep over leaving Cleveland, please.
Okay.
Please.
Well, then I'm saying
Goodbye.
Kyrie is gone.
All right, fine then.
All right, then he's gone. Listen,
Bye.
let's start. I got somebody here. His name's Malik. He's from Inglewood, New Jersey. Malik, are you Jersey's in the house. Are you a Skip guy or are you a Stephen A guy?
I'm a Stephen A guy.
Oh, thank you.
But you have a question for Skip.
Yeah.
All right, what's your question?
Well, I might not answer it.
Oh, well, why not? Be fair. Don't be nice.
Stop being a brat.
I wanted to ask you, do the Cowboys need a new head coach, in your opinion?
I think that's a trick question. Let me see. Well, ask it again because I think that's a trick question. Speak loud.
I'm ready.
Do the Cowboys need a new head coach?
Okay.
Does
here we go.
Stephen A. Smith need to talk less on this show?
Oh, that was not the question.
Yes.
That was not the question.
Yes.
No. That's not. No.
Yes.
Yeah, come on.
By the way, if I talk less, there wouldn't be a show.
Shots fired. Touche, my man. Touche. Does he need a new head coach for the Cowboys?
He has needed a new head coach for 2 long years. Yeah. And as a long-suffering Cowboy fan, I have seen enough of Jason Garrett. I know him. He's a really nice man, but he is not a nice head football coach. He might be able to call somebody's plays somewhere else, but he can't call our plays in Dallas. And I am a Cowboy fan. I have seen enough. And Scott Linehan will not fix that situation.
8-8, 8-8, 8-8 the last 3 seasons. The last 3 seasons, losing the last game of the regular season with a playoff berth on the line to the Giants, then the Redskins, then the Eagles. You do that, you are an accident that has happened. You are a walking piece of mediocrity, and you are lucky you are employed as a head coach. And the fact that he is still a head coach of the Dallas Cowboys is an utter embarrassment, but typical of Jerry Jones and his ways. And that's why the Cowboys are losers, and they will remain losers.
Stephen A., I'm sorry, you said 8-8, 8-8. How does that go again?
8-8, 8-8, 8-8.
Can you guys help us out? 8-8, 8-8, 8-8.
I think you missed. I think you missed 1 6 and 10.
Okay,
in there
by the way.
but I'll let you.
But you let that slide.
That was before.
Yeah.
All right, listen, I have Kelsey here. She's with
Phillips,
20 members of IAVA, and you guys are a group that helps Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, correct? Thank you so much for being here. First of all, that is something to applaud. Amen. I love this crowd. They applaud everything. So listen, you have a question, and I'll give it to Skip Bayless.
Is Eli Manning overrated or underrated?
Wait a minute. I didn't even know he was rated.
Oh, come on,
How did he get rated?
You know better.
Wait a second.
Come on.
Are we talking about the same Eli
Yeah.
who lucked into winning 2 rings? I'm sorry. Eli Manning benefited from the luckiest play in Super Bowl history to beat Tom Brady the first time. Eli played beautifully the second time, but Tom Brady missed 1 throw that would have won the game at the end of the game. 2 Super Bowl rings, and then what? He has led this league in interceptions 3 times. I got to go overrated.
Hold on. Eli Manning is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Eli Manning, Skip just acknowledged, played very well in the 2nd Super Bowl. To get to one of those Super Bowls, the man won in Green Bay. The man beat Atlanta, won an NFC Championship game at San Francisco. Eli Manning has been inconsistent. He's led the league in interceptions 3 times. That is not good. But overall, he has performed well in big games, and he has delivered the goods twice. He ain't overrated. He's not his brother, but he's a champion 2 times over. Respect that man.
Oh, hey, guys, we got one more question from Carrie Score. Do you have a question for Skipper Stephen A?
I do. I just want to know who the best team in NFC East.
Philadelphia Eagles.
I saw y'all a couple months back, right? I came in there, I saw y'all in L.A. a couple months back, but, you know.
He just wants to know who's the best team in the NFC East.
Wait, I would pick the Eagles, but that DeSean Jackson's a little overrated to me.
What do you want?
I respect that.
Boo!
Hold up. I ain't going to be like, I'm going to be respectful. I ain't going to be like Richard Sherman. I'm going to be all right today.
No, all right. Be nice.
The bowl games are done, but the college football season is far from over. As National Signing Day approaches, a frenzied cross-country competition for defensive studs and quarterbacks is taking place. ESPN Insider's Recruiting Nation lets you know which playmakers and game changers are heading to your favorite college campus, and if maybe one of them can help make next year your year. Behind the scenes, beyond the headlines before it happens, ESPN Insider, your way in. Visit ESPN.com/insider.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the Celsius restaurant in Bryant Park. And I'm telling you right now, this crowd is something else. We're joined by Eagles wideout DeSean Jackson. This guy in the back is telling him, "You the fastest, he's the best. He's the fastest, he's the best." He loved DeSean Jackson. Okay, DeSean Jackson is on First Take. Welcome back. We haven't seen you since the ESPYs.
Yes.
And you're here to promote a children's book that you have called No Bullies in the Huddle. We'll talk about that in just a moment.
Definitely.
But Skip Bayless has a special message for you.
Just a quick thought.
What is it?
It's a nice thing.
All right.
This man made a play early in this Pro Bowl that we just watched
For sure.
that saved Andrew Luck from yet another interception
Another one.
by taking the ball away from really two safeties.
Definitely.
It was my catch of the year. I know it was just the Pro Bowl,
Appreciate
but I
it.
congratulate you on saving his favorite quarterback, Andrew Luck, from another interception.
Andrew Luck is a pretty good quarterback. I mean,
Well,
I had the
you made him look great.
I had a chance to play with him. I mean, you know, I like how he handled his business in the Pro Bowl.
Well, good for you. Congratulations for making it to the Pro Bowl, first
Thank
of
you,
all. And
definitely.
before we went to break, you said the Seattle Seahawks would win the Super Bowl. Make your case.
You saw me. I mean, honestly, I think their defense is, you know, amazing. They do some great things, and I'm a little biased. I went to college with my boy Marshawn Lynch, and I know everybody's trying to give him a hard time, but I want to see Marshawn get a Super Bowl, man. That's my boy. So hopefully Beast Mode could take him in and get that Super Bowl ring.
So is it a friendly thing, or you really do believe the Seahawks will get the best of Peyton?
It's kind of both, but I mean, I really do think they could do it. I mean, you see how Seahawks did the Saints, so I'm sure they could rattle up Peyton the same way. So we'll see how it works.
Stephen A.
Nobody has a choice but to have mad respect for Marshawn Lynch and what he brings to the table. The dude is legit. There's no doubt about it. It wouldn't help to answer a few questions about football. I mean, my Lord, it ain't like somebody asking you about your personal life, but that's a story for another day.
Exactly.
With that being said, I would say this, though. If the weather is ideal, if it's inclement, we know it favors a defense in a running game.
For sure.
But if it's not, how do you see that defense stopping a team with 5 weapons? That's like, I mean, come on now.
I mean, you got to think of it as the same way. New Orleans Saints, they have some great weapons too. Jimmy Graham, Moore, Meacham. I mean, they coast and they got a lot of weapons too. So I'm just kind of similar comparing them two games, and they was able to shut them down.
Let me ask it to you this way.
Go ahead.
If Jeremy Maclin was healthy, and you've got Maclin with DeSean Jackson,
that's a different
and
case.
Brent Selleck and Riley Cooper, would you think Seattle could stop you?
No, I ain't going.
But they can stop Julius and Demaryius Thomas?
I mean, that's different to me. But at the end of the day, how they rattled up the boy Drew Brees, he one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think they could do it to Peyton. And Peyton don't like pressure in his faces. If you get to him and knock him down early and rattle him, I think, that defense crazy, man.
And you would know this how, considering what the Broncos did to the Eagles?
You got
I'm just saying.
I mean, you definitely have a point. You have a point, but I'm just going off of what I think. I mean, I can't say nothing about that. You're right on that. They beat us, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm going with Seattle. So you can say what you want to say.
Well, you don't play defense, so I'm not holding it.
I can't play defense.
I know that, but I'm not holding it against you. I'm not holding it against you. But I'm just saying they dropped 50.
They did
on
that.
the Eagles.
They did that. I'm embarrassed about that, but at the end of the day, it's the NFL. Things happen. So,
All right.
Now, wait a second. I do want to hear more about a man you know very well in Marshawn, who has been a little difficult with the media. Again, not that he's gone back and forth with me. He just doesn't want to talk.
Exactly.
He was a little better yesterday.
Yeah.
Give us some insight into that.
I mean, Marshawn, he had a rough upbringing. Where he comes from, North Oakland, the slums. I mean, this is definitely tough on his daily life and what he witnessed, not having a dad in his life, and his mother is like a second mother to myself too. We have a great relationship. So, I have nothing but great things to say about Marshawn. And a lot of times, he doesn't want that attention on him. He rather shed it on his teammates. So that's one thing I can say about him. You can ask anybody on his team. He's a great team player. He's going to go out there and put it on the line every day. He's going to work hard, and he's going to be a beast at the same time doing it. So
listen, I totally agree. Ain't nobody up here that done a great Marshawn Lynch. The boy balls, and he earns every penny that he makes, and he's one of the best in the game. It is what it is. Like I said, just answer some questions about football because it's just football. But I would ask you this question since you know him so personally. What's the handshake about when the offensive lineman comes to congratulate him after he scores a touchdown, and they go to give him a hug, he like no, and just shakes their hand. He did that against when they played New Orleans. He did that when they played San Francisco, I believe. What's that about?
I mean, that's the inside thing right there. I don't understand that one, but
right. The teammates came to hug him.
He always like to do his family first thing. He got like something he do with family first. So he's just giving it up for his fam.
Let's talk about your head coach, Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
First season as a head coach, you make it to the playoffs. Obviously, you guys didn't go that far.
Yeah.
What do you think about his season if you had to grade it? Pass or fail?
I mean, I think it's a pass. Honestly, he came in and did a great job. Everybody was, kind of concerned on how the Oregon offense was going to translate over to the NFL, and I think he had an utmost great year. Everybody, bought into his system, and we really have a lot to build on from last year going into this year right here. So being 10-6 this year, from when I came and saw you at the ESPYs, we was 4-12, so we was talking about a totally different thing. I know I said we was a top 5 team, but I still think we up there, and being one of the best teams in the NFL. But we just have a lot to build on. Just a couple of little key additions, and I think we'll be all right.
Key additions.
I don't know who that might be, but just a little more help, and we'll be all right.
I don't mind it as long as you got your money. They finally paid you, so I'm happy about that.
I mean, I appreciate that.
You deserve it.
Definitely appreciate
DeSean,
that.
for the longest time, I was not sold on Nick Foles. I'm not sure Stephen A. Smith was that sold on Nick Foles.
I wasn't.
How sold is DeSean on Nick Foles?
I mean, I think Nick Foles has honestly grown so much in his 2 years. It's only his second year in the NFL. I still think he's young, and he's matured fast. Last year he came in when Vic got hurt, and this year he was able to come in and be our starting quarterback throughout some tough times. And I think he stepped up and made some big time plays. He controlled the offense, being so young, and it's really a lot to handle when you have a new coach that's coming in and implementing a new offense and a new form of way of doing everything. And I think he adjusted to that great. So in my eyes, I think he's a good quarterback. He has a bright future, and right now he's the man for the Eagles.
And what about the other quarterback?
Mike Vick, man.
I believe in Mike Vick. Still believe in him.
Hey, man, that's my big brother. And, Mike Vick, he has some more football left in him. I don't know if everybody out there believes or thinks, he can still go out there and be healthy a full season and, not turn the ball over and do things like that. But in my eyes, I think he still has, another 2-3 years to be a starting quarterback in this league. And I just pray and hope he doesn't go to a team that we have to play and see him twice a year, because I know he'll probably come in there with a grudge on the shoulder. But you never know how it works out. He might be back as a Philadelphia Eagle, or he might be somewhere else.
I just want to know if the police showed up and arrested the offensive line, not for this past season, but the previous season, when they gave Michael Vick no protection whatsoever and left him punch drunk, which is why he had some of the issues he had. Did the police show up at the Eagles Novacare facility to arrest any of the offensive linemen?
They probably took a couple people in the jail, took them in custody.
Exactly.
But, we bailed them out. We got them out.
Serious question.
I wouldn't have bailed them out. They'd still been in there if it was me. Sure.
Definitely.
They did that to Michael Vick.
Let me go one level deeper with you here. Back in August, as you well remember, Riley Cooper was caught on a cell phone video uttering the N-word at a concert that he attended. I took a strong stance on this show, and I said he should be cut because your team and your league needs to send the message that word will not be tolerated, especially in the form he used it, which was with the hard ER. I know you guys like Riley Cooper. I know he had a very good year for you this year. Step back, look back. How do you feel now about how all that went down?
I mean, that's obviously a tough question. Me being African American and, with the circumstance of him being my teammate and things like that. But, going through the process, we all just tried to support him regardless of how wrong we knew he was and, how big of a mistake it was he made. We really just let him step away from football, get his punishment, take his time away. I think Chip Kelly handled it in a professional manner. But as far as, going to work with somebody, that's just like you and Stephen A. You guys got to come to work. We're going to have to deal with each other regardless. So, I mean, we had to I'm not going to say I forgive him right away, but eventually, it became a point where I know that wasn't his true character, and he made a mistake. So going throughout the process, that's what made it a little easier because, he's never did anything crazy or said anything crazy within, people in the locker room and the guys around us. So stepping past all that, he had a great year, like you said. He did his thing, and he helped us out. So we needed him. With Macklin going down, we needed him to step up and make some plays for us, and he was able to do that.
Just so you know, my position was a little bit different than Skip. It's not that I didn't know he was wrong. We all knew he was wrong, and I knew that y'all knew he was wrong. But it's not just about being the teammate, but it's also about people who live in glass houses better be careful about throwing stones. People make mistakes. And when he gave his apology, I felt he was contrite enough, but more importantly, what I was saying on behalf of the players, because I had spoken to some of the brothers in that locker room, it's like they know he was wrong, and they know, and they checked him in their own way to some degree. But in the end, if you got to rally together, you got to rally together. And also remember that people make mistakes. It's how you overcome it, how you react once you're checked on it. Because again, someday down the line, somebody else is going to make a different kind of mistake. Aren't you going to want to forgive them? And even though it was on a much different level, Michael Vick, I applauded the way that he acted because he remembered the mistakes he made and how forgiving everybody had been towards him.
And I understand. I love this man sitting across from me like a brother.
You sure about that?
I do. Now, I don't always like him, but I love him.
You love him, though. All right.
And he knows. I think that word is the most evil word in the English language.
For sure.
And I'm just curious to end this discussion. Did you have a one-on-one conversation with Riley about it? Did you kind of look into his heart eye to eye?
Yeah, I had to. I think that was more important than anything because at a moment when it happened, I was just like I had to be standoff and kind of keep distance from him just because I know how that word makes me feel as an individual. So it was a one-on-one conversation held, and we talked like men, and, from there we moved on and kept working together.
And you were okay?
Like I said, it took time. It just in the snap of a finger, it didn't happen like that. But over the year, it definitely took time. But,
And speaking of moving on, we're moving on. Hard turn here. So you write children's books. That's
I do have children's
random,
books,
would you think? No
Tell
me.
No bullies in the huddle. Actually, 3 years ago, I went on The View, and Nathan Curry was a little boy that was been bullied by 7 individuals. And, once I left that show, it triggered something in my heart to say it's a lot of kids out here in this world that's getting bullied and that don't really have no advice, don't really have no one to talk to, and are afraid to step up and take on that challenge. So, me, Dr. Austin, my cousin, Akili, we came together with this great book. And, we're putting together, I got something for you. I know you don't have kids. Stephen A. has kids. And
I do have a kid. Here you go now.
Oh, yeah, he's a kid. But, I mean, they can get it on www.nobullysinthehuddle.com. And, I'm trying to raise the awareness, man.
I applaud you.
I imagine that there was a level of sensitivity. We don't have time. We don't have time to get into it. But let me just ask this quick question. I imagine that there was a level of sensitivity that you had towards the whole Jonathan Martin thing in light of the bullying that you're talking to with kids. It was bullying supposedly going on in the NFL.
Exactly. I mean, tough situation, especially with the thing going on out there in Miami Dolphins. So, you never really hear grown-ups or grown men are getting bullied like that, but it's definitely a serious topic. So say whatever we need to do to stop it and knock it off, that's what we're here for.
Right. Whiteout DeSean Jackson, always impressive on and off the field. We appreciate you being here. So layered. Give it up. I love you, boo. Ladies and gentlemen, there's ice skating happening on this final football Friday of the season. It's First Take. We're on the road for Super Bowl 48, live from New York. A rowdy and loyal crowd. They're the best. We say anything and they just agree. I don't even know if you can hear me at home. I'm just talking right now. We're sitting with our very own of Mike and Mike. Mike Greenberg, Greeny, fan, friend of the show. We love you.
Yes, thank you. And I want to say something in all sincerity. There are a lot of places on television where people will argue about things, as you guys often do, and Mike and I do, and many others. I don't know that there are 5 places on television, in or outside of sports, where the conversation you guys just had with DeSean Jackson takes place. And for anything else that happens, that's what makes this so special, and I commend you guys for it. That was fun. That was really on. That was on a level that you don't hear very often.
And I often say this about them. They do it better than anybody else can.
Well, all of you do. The 3 of you too. Carrie, don't leave yourself out of that. The 3 of you do.
I am the glue. We understand that. No. Okay, listen. Super Bowl.
Yes.
Seahawks win. Tell us.
Here's the thing. And look, I have been wrong. The people in Denver know that I have been wrong on this all year long. Okay. I have been down on the Broncos and down on Peyton, and they made me look bad 15 out of 18 times so far. And there's a part of me that's rooting for him to do it. I think it's an amazing story. When you look at where Peyton Manning was 3 years ago, unable basically to throw a ball from here to there, to cap it off with this would be an incredible story. But I have to believe somewhere along the line, and look, I don't know if you want Richard Sherman to say it or not, but it's true. Peyton Manning throws a ball that takes forever to get from here to there, and somewhere along the line that has to catch up to him. Now, he is beating people with his brain. But I don't think this is a team you beat with your brain, because I think he fools people. He tricks them into giving away what they're doing. I think Seattle walks in there saying, "Hi, this is what we're doing, Peyton. Beat us." And if he can, I'd tip my hat to him. But I like Seattle to win a close game, 24-23.
24-23. Stephen A., your rebut.
Well, I think Mike Greenberg is wrong.
Okay. All right, bye. Gotta go.
I appreciate his position, but I'm just of the mindset that Seattle's offense won't be able to put up but so many points. I think that Marshawn Lynch will have a couple of big runs, but for the most part throughout the afternoon, I do not believe they're going to be able to move the chains. And as a result, that will give Peyton Manning more opportunities, and more opportunities are going to lead to more points. And in the end, I think that Julius Thomas, Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, Wes Welker, Noshawn Moreno, led by Peyton Manning, all right, will find a way to put up 28 to 30 points. I'm going to pick the Denver Broncos to win this game 30-20.
By the way,
yes.
Why is Golic always so disrespectful to you? I want to know.
Well, I mean, everyone is disrespectful to me, so he's just sort of first in line every morning. But then we're just walking over here from there, 9 more people were disrespectful to me.
And make it 10.
Yeah, okay.
Because he's about to.
Mike Greenberg.
Yes.
I allowed Mother Nature to make my pick. And this morning, Mother Nature told all of us it's going to be 45 degrees at kickoff after all the doomsaying forecasts of 2 weeks ago. Snow, sleet, wind chill in the teens. It's Peyton Manning weather. And it is a little disrespectful for you to say that his Ducks take forever to get there. That's a little overstated, because you can't throw 55 Duck touchdowns, as Peyton sort of came back yesterday.
Yeah.
And the problem is, and I'm no big Peyton fan, as I said to open this show, I get annoyed watching him. As you say, he's created a game above the game. It's not even football to me anymore. He gets rid of it quicker than anybody does. He got sacked less than anybody. In the playoffs, he's been touched once in each game. Not sacked, touched once in each game. I don't think that's going to dramatically change in this game. And if he gets rid of the ball in 3 seconds or less, you cannot beat him. And I don't think, as good as Seattle is in the secondary, that they have the right matchup for a Wes Welker in the slot. We talked about it with Antonio Cromartie coming on our show and saying, hey, Cam Chancellor, now you made the point, if Cam ever tags him one time, maybe he'll be knocked out of the game. But I don't think Cam Chancellor, if he gets stuck on Wes Welker, can stay with him, because very few can stay with him doing his little underneath option routes. I think Peyton is going to not throw a party, but have a Peyton-esque kind of game in temperatures that will favor him over this defense.
Well, that's certainly possible. And if he does, again, the ultimate hat tip, because this is a great defense that he's playing, what I think the Seahawks do is exactly what neutralizes Peyton. You're right. A great pass rush isn't going to affect Peyton because he gets rid of the ball so quickly. What affects him is if you take his receivers off schedule. Right? Trent Dilfer did a great breakdown of this on our show the other day, that when the receiver is there, Peyton is throwing the ball there because he knows the receiver is going to get there. If the Seattle corners and all the Seattle secondary, which I think should be called a tertiary, they're so big, secondary isn't big enough, takes those guys off schedule, and all of a sudden that receiver isn't there quite when Peyton's expecting him to be, you know who is? Earl Thomas. And I think for all the talk about Richard Sherman, I think it's the safeties in Seattle who are the best in the NFL, who are the difference makers in this game. They're a little bit of your old school hard hitters, and they're a little bit of Ed Reed, roaming and playing center field. And I would not be surprised to see 1 or 2 turnovers from Peyton, which we have not seen practically at all.
Well, we saw a turnover by Russell Wilson, too. to start the NFC Championship game against San Francisco. It's not like they're above reproach, like they can't make mistakes either. And more importantly, we're going to see whether or not they can capitalize off of those mistakes because Denver's defense hasn't been given enough credit. But what I'm alarmed by both you and Skip to some degree is how everybody's talking as if Peyton Manning's 55 touchdowns have basically been about dumping the ball, for 2 yards and let Demarius and Julius and those boys do the rest. I've seen Peyton Manning pick dudes apart with 20, 30, 40-yard passes. This dude is precision personified. I'm not going to sleep on Peyton Manning if the weather conditions are not severely inclement. I think that Peyton Manning could put on a show, and I think everybody's sleeping on him. I really do.
Okay, let's say Greeny's right here. Let's say Seattle's D does a big number on Peyton Manning, and he looks somewhat the way he did against New Orleans. Let's say he throws a big pick six. How much, in your mind, would that taint a legacy that some people still are skeptical about?
Well, it's a really interesting question. I saw you guys maybe a week or so ago when you were debating where the quarterbacks all go in the order. And I think my partner, actually, Mike Golick, put this a good way. Peyton Manning is going to the big room in the Hall of Fame of quarterbacks. There's all the Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and there's one room where only the very best of the best are. So he's there, regardless. If he loses 50-0 on Sunday, he's in that room. But once you get in that room, now it's fair to start separating. So do you put Brady ahead of him, despite the fact that I think Peyton usually looks better? If I just watch the two of them play, I'm more impressed with Peyton. But yes, if Peyton doesn't win this game, you can't put him ahead of Tom Brady. So I think that's where it goes. That's where his legacy is ultimately affected. He's not playing for number one. I don't think he's ever getting to number one. And by the way, you're one of the few people I saw when we had this conversation the other day that gave just due to a guy who I think is being largely overlooked in these conversations, and that's John Elway. I think John Elway, if you gave me one guy to win a game with or to carry a team for a prolonged period of time that I've ever seen, and that includes Joe Montana, I would take John Elway. John Elway led, much in the way that LeBron James took a very mediocre Cleveland team to the finals. John Elway led some fairly mediocre Denver teams to 3 Super Bowls, and so people talked about his record in Super Bowls being bad. He's playing historically great teams with mediocre teammates. So for me, I would put John Elway number one, and then where would you put Peyton? Wow. This game will go a long way towards deciding where he winds up. I don't think that's unfair.
Okay, we cannot let you go without you giving us a record next year for a football team that you live and die for, the New York Jets.
You know, do we have any Jet fans here? Are we any Jet fans?
About two or three. There's about one right there in the corner.
Where the hell are we? How are there no Jet fans in here?
Because we're in New York and they know better.
This is 41st Street and 6th Avenue.
They know better.
Okay.
They know what we've been doing. They've endured.
Here's what's going to happen. The Jets are going to take a big receiver, ideally one who can catch, unlike the big one they have now, in the first round of the playoffs. The first round of the draft. A couple of tinkering moves here or there on that offense. Rex Ryan with the defense. I think the Jets have an excellent chance to win 10 games and make the playoffs next year.
Wow. 10 games and playoffs.
They won 8 games this year.
He is hot. He might have a fever.
They won 8 games this year with the worst skill position talent in the National Football League. Give Geno one more year, give him some weapons, and bring that defense back. Why couldn't they be 2 games better?
You believe in Geno. He's the quarterback moving forward.
I think he has a chance. I saw more things this year that I liked than those that I didn't. Okay. I'm not ready to say he's the quarterback for a decade, but I'm certainly willing to give him another shot. Yes, I think there were more things I saw. Give that guy a chance. It was a rookie playing with nobody. Yeah. Give him some guys and see what he can do.
You're missing a very big point, Mike Greenberg.
Okay.
And the big point is this. We know that Geno has potential, and we know that the defense is elite anytime Rex Ryan is around it. The problem is, have they been able to accumulate the necessary offensive talent to surround their quarterback? And I don't believe they're going to be able to do that with this draft or in this offseason. A couple of years from now, maybe. Mm-hmm. But right now, I can't imagine seeing next year, the Jets have some pretty damn good receivers.
Yikes.
Wow. No, I don't see that.
Well, they have one good receiver now, and he's not a name anybody knows, but Jeremy Curley is actually a better player than people realize.
He's a slot receiver,
If you get one difference-making player on the outside, the kid from Clemson, the kid from Texas A&M.
Okay.
Someone like that. Now, at 18, you're probably not getting either of those, so maybe they have to move up. The Jets also, this year was basically a cap cleansing season. So they'll have some money to spend, and hopefully they'll spend it on the offensive side of the ball. They're, I think, really 2 weapons away, and it's a lot to get 2 weapons, but 2 legitimate offensive weapons away, I think, from having a chance to be much better.
Mike Greenberg for the Jets, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Mike Greenberg. He said Seattle Seahawks will win the Super Bowl. You're a pleasure. I adore you. Come back anytime. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. This is a Chicago Bears fan. That's apropos because our next guest is whiteout for the Chicago Bears. Brandon Marshall, one of the best in the game. Give Brandon Marshall some love, ladies and gentlemen. Give him some love.
Let me see it.
I think they like you. I'm not for sure, but I think they like you. So you are here this weekend, obviously doing a lot of Super Bowl festivities, but one of which is, and I want to make sure I get this right, you're on DirecTV's dime. So you're coaching Joe Montana's team at the DirecTV Celebrity Beach Bowl. What's that all about?
You know what, man? It's the 8th annual, Celebrity Beach Bowl.
Yep.
But the thing that's exciting about it is Dion passed me up at the Pro Bowl last week.
Okay.
So we're going to teach Dion a lesson.
Okay.
What goes around comes around. So now that I'll be his coach, he's going to sit on the bench.
Yeah, that's right.
He's going to sit on the bench.
I got to add one thing. Prime Time's my man.
Yeah, that's your man.
I love him dearly. But here's a problem. You can't be having the gray beard. You got to make him shave.
Why?
You got to make.
You don't like that look?
Prime Time has to be prime. You can't be walking around with a gray beard.
Listen, come Saturday.
In your 40s.
Come Saturday, 1 o'clock. Not only will he be on the be on the bench, but we're going to make him shave his beard.
Right.
We're going to have, curfew in order.
Okay. Because he's the old man.
We got to give it to Prime. We got to give him a hard time.
So before we went to break, you picked the Broncos to win the Super Bowl. Maybe some favoritism there from a team.
Favoritism.
Let's talk about why you decided for the Broncos would win the Super Bowl.
You know what? One guy, Peyton Manning.
Yep.
Peyton Manning. When you got a guy like Peyton, one of the best has ever done it, we all know the stats and we know his history, but you can't go against him. So I'm picking Peyton, and like you said, there's a little favoritism there. I wouldn't trade Chicago for the world. That is home. You hear my guy? That's how they treat me every single day when I walk up my door.
That's your boy.
Yes.
Okay.
But if there's one other organization that I can play for, I would have to say again, it would be Denver, and that would be it.
That'd be done.
That'd be it.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Peyton Manning wins the Super Bowl, right? What does this do for his legacy? Where does this put him in terms of the greats?
It quiets people like us up. It quiets us up. Everyone's talking about, he's not a winner in the postseason. He's not getting it done. But he's already won a Super Bowl. Most guys don't even make it to the postseason. But he's already won a Super Bowl. So now if he wins another, it really shuts us up.
Peyton Manning is a winner.
He's a winner.
I have no doubt about that. Let's talk about somebody who's not.
Uh-oh.
Here you go.
I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to leave. I'm uncomfortable.
I would think that if I have Matt Forte and Alshon Jeffrey along with the man Brandon Marshall, that Jay Cutler could find a way to do something.
Keep coming.
And
keep coming.
I'm just wondering.
Don't egg him on.
I'm just wondering.
Don't egg him on.
When's the day going to come when Jay Cutler is going to be a winner? When's that going to happen?
That day is soon. What you guys fail to realize is we bring in Coach Mark Trustman in a sophisticated offense. There's science to our football. Yes, you bring this guy in, and not only do we go from the 29th, 28th ranked offense to a top 10 offense in a year. What we're trying to be is the Drew Brees, the New Orleans Saints out west. That's what we're trying to be. So we did that in a year. So just imagine where we're going to be in a few months.
You know why I can stop you right there?
You can't stop me.
I'm going to tell you why.
You said it. There's no pressure on Jay Cutler. This is the first year. This is the first year that Jay Cutler's been stimulated by a head coach, by an offensive coordinator, and also had the players around. Look at me. And also had players around him.
Don't warm me off.
Don't warm me off. Right here.
Talk over here. Leave him out. We don't need him.
Can I get an amen from the audience?
Talk about. Listen. All right. I'm going to defend my guy to the day that I die.
But you
and
always
this is why.
do. That's
but
my
listen,
point.
But listen,
you
listen.
always do.
Listen.
I mean, Jay Cutler might as well be sweat. It's perfume to you. What is it?
He's beat up.
He's always beat up.
He's Tyson. He's been punched so many times.
He's always been that way.
Now you take our offensive line. Look at our offensive line. They go from the worst in the league. They go from the worst in the league to top 3 in a year.
In a year. Was on the sideline riding a bicycle.
I guarantee this. I can guarantee this. Now my Super Bowl prediction, that's all fun and games. This is all part of the festivities. But I guarantee this. You give Jay Cutler an offense that goes from last in the league to top 3. A coach who has a science about football.
He has it.
He has it now.
He has it now.
We'll get it done.
All right.
We'll get it done. We'll get it done. It's getting intense in here.
No, it's not. Do not listen to this man. He is a Cutler hater, and he has been from the start.
He's a hater.
I love Jay Cutler, and not because he went to my school, Vanderbilt University. No, it has nothing to do with it. His line about Michael Vick is that 2 years ago, Michael Vick's offensive line should have been arrested.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 years ago, Jay Cutler's offensive line should have gone to prison. Gone to prison for what they did.
Yeah. That's right.
Gone to prison.
Yes.
This man. Hey.
We're listening.
You listening? You hear this?
You hear it?
Seriously.
Yeah.
Is there a physically tougher quarterback in the National Football League than your man, Jay Cutler?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Thank you.
Yes.
Not at all.
Next year, if he is protected in a system that finally benefits him, with the receivers he has at his fingertips, with the rifle that he has, this will be the year of the Bears.
Brandon, take it from me. Take it from me. Take this from me. I am the one. I see that. That's good. That's cute. That's cute. That's cute. Do you know that I'm the one that agreed with you? Do you know?
Don't hear it, Brandon.
I'm the one who agreed with you. When you said Jay Cutler is our quarterback, I agreed. It's this Benedict Arnold that said Jay Cutler should be on the bench.
Yeah.
So Josh McCown will be playing.
But I will say this. I also said I can understand how.
Oh, look at you.
I can understand. Listen, you got Josh McCown playing better than any quarterback in the league.
Any quarterback in the whole league.
That's a decision that the organization has to make.
If he agrees with you, you give him a pound. He disagrees with you.
But I also said that we're in a tough position as an organization when we're trying to make a push for the postseason, and you got Josh McCown, the hottest quarterback right now.
Right.
Going back then.
Sure.
That is, you can't bring Jay Cutler
I swear,
in.
if I could get on mic, I'd let you
that
sit
the
here
chemistry
and
is
let
gonna
you and
stay the
Skip do the show. Y'all are ridiculous.
If Jay Cutler's your guy moving forward, if we're going to sign him back, you have to put him back in there.
I'm glad you brought that up. He deserves all that money. Jay Cutler deserved that money. Jay Cutler deserved all that money.
Listen.
Okay.
What?
Does he deserve the money?
Yes.
He gave the Bears a break. He would have made 20. He would have made 25 on open market.
You gotta stay.
Yes.
You're right.
Lord.
He could have went to Tennessee and made 24.
He could have.
He could have went to Oakland and made 30.
He said Oakland.
Hey, but I will say this. Does he deserve it? Jay, just give me a meal or two, baby. Give me a meal. Give me a meal.
Jay Cutler would have been in a black hole. He'd have lived in a black hole for crying out loud.
That says a lot. Listen, but all seriousness, that says a lot about our organization. Let's look at how Phil Emery did work. Right after the season, everyone's thinking, are we going to sign Jay back? Are we going to franchise tag him? They had a deal already in place. Yeah. That gives us security. That gives us something to work towards in the offseason. There's no distractions. We signed our left guard Slauson back.
Distractions.
We got the pieces. There's no distractions.
Quarterback, you got Brandon Marshall, stud. Alshon Jeffrey, stud. Matt Forte, stud.
Martellus Bennett.
That's right. And you acting like Jay Cutler the second coming. Please, get it done.
Growing.
Get it done. Hold him accountable.
Hey, slow down by growing. Slow down by ankle.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Poor baby.
What do you want him to do?
Listen, this is the same dude that couldn't go in a game and drop back to take a snap but could ride a bicycle in the NFC Championship game with a Super Bowl
listen.
on the line.
No. See, this is what you guys don't understand. The injury Jay Cutler had, he could have had surgery for. Jay opted out of that. Jay opted out of that. Said, no, I'm going to come back for my guys.
How did that help y'all? How did that help y'all?
Give it up. You were good. I love it. Good job. Welcome back to First Take. We're on the road, ladies and gentlemen. We're at Celsius Restaurant in Bryant Park. Our crowd is amazing. They're here for the A+ team. That's Skip. That's Stephen A. I'm Carrie Champion. We've been upgraded. You ever watch The Interruption? You ever see a guy by the name of Mike Wilbon? Excuse me. Give it up for Mike Wilbon, please.
Thank you. I don't have any poses like the photo gallery.
You can get in the photo gallery after this.
Let me just say this to everybody.
Say it.
Sitting next to me is one of my idols, one of the iconic figures in the world, one of my best friends in this business. It's an honor to have you here, my man.
I'm speechless, which I never am. I haven't been on television with Skip in like 20 years.
Do you
we
understand?
used to do a lot of TV together.
You understand?
We do. We did.
Going back to the early 1990s, Michael Wilbon and Mitch Albom and I did some of the first live debate that's ever been done on this network. Yeah. And I'm not sure we broke any new ground because we nearly broke each other, right? But it was great.
They were so scared of it they got rid of it for 10 years.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, it's good being with you guys. We get to see each other on the road in the NBA, but it's good to be sitting in your domain here. Look at this for Super Bowl week.
Well, you have to tell them about the campaign. The campaign I started earlier this week to get you to come on the show.
I appreciate the invite. I'm glad I'm here. Thank you, Carrie.
I started a campaign early this week because I wanted Mike Wilbon on the show because, as you mentioned, he is one of the greats in the business. Yes, truly a pleasure to have you. So we respect you and you are revered. You decided to pick the Seattle Seahawks. Explain yourself.
You know what? But this is a classic toss-up game.
Yep.
You can't. Nobody should use the words upset. Nobody should be surprised at what the result is unless it's some sort of weird blowout. I grew up in Chicago. That's a franchise that knows about defense. That's what I grew up in. Defense always trumped, or you hope, offense. Great defense. That's why Super Bowl teams that are number one in defense have been, 12-3, I think is the record for number one ranked defenses. Nobody's going to be surprised if Peyton Manning and the Broncos win this game. I'm just looking at that defense thinking ultimately they're going to figure out a way to thwart Peyton Manning on enough plays. He can pass for 350 yards. Seattle can still win this game. Seattle's going to figure out a way to actually keep Peyton Manning off the field, which is the best defense against him. It's a pick 'em game. I'm going with defense because that's what I sort of revere.
I guess what I'm looking at is I think that Denver's defense, particularly what we've seen from them in the postseason, is being underestimated. Not to mention the fact that no one would dare overrate Seattle's offense. So it's like, their defense is big time. It's legit, but their offense needs to do something, and I don't know if they'll do something against Denver's defense.
But you know who the most overlooked person to me this week, Skip, is Russell Wilson. I mean, I understand that he's not Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or one of the quarterbacks who just simply goes out and can Drew Brees and is going to beat you with a 400-yard passing day. But he can make enough plays against, an underrated defense, I think, Skip, to be a huge factor in this game, even if his statistics aren't glittering.
Okay, but we both think the most overlooked and underhyped unit in this game is Denver's defense.
Yep.
Because it has come back to life really over the last month. Only allowed 16 and 17 in the first two playoff games. I don't think, as terrific as Russell has been, as many big plays as he has made for this team consistently, I'm not sure his offense can score more than 14 against Denver's defense.
They're going to need more than that.
Okay.
I think we all agree on that. They're going to need much more than that. You're not counting takeaways. You're not counting special teams. And we tend to sort of distill this down to just a couple of units. Again, I think it's a pick-em game. I think we're looking at a score where nobody gets out of the 20s.
Okay.
A 27-24 type of game.
Okay.
But I still think defensively Seattle's got some answers perhaps for Peyton Manning.
Okay. Have you ever seen an offense this potent?
Yeah. All of the 49ers offenses were this potent. All of them. Denver's offense with Terrell Davis, with TD, was as potent, not the early Denver offenses. But all the 49er offenses were there. You look at, people forgot, we tend to forget whatever wasn't on SportsCenter this morning.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about teams with Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. There's no Joe Montana or Jerry Rice out there now, or John Taylor, or Roger Craig, or the people that, So we've seen offenses better than this Denver offense.
Okay, but I think you would agree we could start to consider this one of the all-time best offenses off just this year's stats. I'm intrigued by what you first called this, a classic toss-up. Step back for a second, because I opened the show saying I haven't been so intrigued by a Super Bowl matchup. I go back, we all started the newspaper business. I started covering this event, Super Bowl 10. I go all the way up at Miami. This was Pittsburgh versus Dallas. Remember this, the first Pittsburgh-Dallas in the 70s?
Absolutely.
Okay. Step back and tell me your intrigue level, say scale of 1 to 10, best offense versus best defense.
Yeah, for a while there, Skip, we had so many mismatches that you couldn't have much intrigue. You'd have a great defense with the Bears, but the offense of the Patriots back then, not so much. I'm going to say my intrigue level's a 9. I don't know how it could get much higher. Maybe if you had sort of a more glamorous team, but Seattle, I know, is not as glamorous. And part of that is on the East Coast, we don't pay as much attention to Seattle as we usually should. But I agree with you about the matchup. It is a pick'em game. Very little is going to surprise me unless somebody stretches it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Wilbon, pardon the interruption. What a way to end this. Thank you so much for joining us. The crowd has been amazing. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming out all week long. On behalf of Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, I'm Carrie Champion. Super Bowl 48 on the road. First Take has been amazing. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Let's have a party.